Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Alberta Canola Producers Commission, Sask Canola, and Manitoba Canola Growers.
Welcome to Real Agriculture's Canola School series. I'm Kara Oosterhuis. In this episode, I talked to Keith Gabert, who is an agronomy specialist with the Canola Council of Canada. In this video, Keith talks about straight cutting versus swathing your canola and what some of the factors are that have changed the mentality around it in the last couple of years. Some of these factors include combines being stronger and being able to make it through the tough stand of the canola, as well as different varieties that are available to the farmer.
Well, one of the biggest reasons that I like straight cutting in my area, so central Alberta, we range from really wet conditions to really dry conditions as you get close to the Saskatchewan border, is that I tend to see that it makes growers a little less rushed when they make that swathing decision. So for years I've been trying to get growers to wait for 60% seed color change, firm seeds on those outer branches, really try to time the maximum amount of mature seed that's going to end up in the swath or in the combine. And growers don't have enough time to run their swather and do that perfectly. So for growers that are willing to try a little bit of straight cut combining, it really seems to fit well. They start swathing a little later because they're less concerned about getting the whole job done. And when that swather starts to shell out the canola, that's the portion of the crop they leave for straight cut. So as you're trying a new system of harvesting, it's kind of nice to have a small percentage of the crop as straight cut. Decide if you like it, and some guys go out and sell the swather, but I'm not brave enough to recommend that just quite yet.
What differences have you seen in outcomes between straight cutting and swathing?
So it's not, I wouldn't say straight cutting is riskier than swathing. I would have said that 20 years ago, 15 to 25 years ago. Made me nervous to drive past a field of canola that was waiting to be straight cut. Our genetics have improved, our ability to handle that crop, and the size of our combines and ability to harvest in a timely fashion has probably gotten better. One of the things that has come into the market is some varieties that are well adapted for straight cutting and even a pod shatter trait. So all of those together mean that we've got fields of ripe canola that are willing to wait there for us to come through with the combine. So one of the things that we always talk about is pod shelling or shattering. So in the last number of years, if you've watched a straight cut field or a field that's going to be straight cut, sometimes you'll notice that a deer's gone through and you'll see this white line leading off into the distance. And I always take that now as a positive sign because it means I can see shattering in that crop, but it's sitting there for another 7 to 14 days without the rest of the crop matching that path of a person checking the crop or some wildlife moving through. So shattering is always a risk, but it seems to be less of a risk than it has been in the past. Wind is always a concern because that's tied directly to shattering. Now, wind can be a problem in both systems. If we have a strong enough wind that we see a swath flip, so that's likely around 50 miles an hour, which is a pretty strong wind, but not unusual for portions of southern Alberta and into central Alberta. As soon as that swath flips, you lose a huge percentage of your yield. So straight cut has a bit of an advantage, believe it or not, standing in that stiff of wind, because at least it's not piled up against the neighbor's fence. So you get what's left and you can still handle the crop. So I think that's a bit of an advantage. And the other is that there's some timing advantages. If it's standing there and you get a bit of a rain, you don't have a wet swath to deal with. So if you have both, I've had a number of growers tell me that one of their canola systems or canola harvesting methods is ready to go when the other isn't.
Anything you'd like to add about straight cutting versus swathing?
No, I think we're going to see more and more acres go towards straight cut. In the last number of years, as we've talked about it, there's a couple sort of pre-harvest aids that growers can try, but regardless of whether they're trying a glyphosate and heat or some kind of a desiccant like Reglone, it seems that those acres are going to, depending who I speak with, either jump dramatically or creep up over time. But I've yet to meet a grower in the last 5 years that in terms of straight cut will say, tried that, never doing it again. I have met a number of growers that have said, tried that and sold the swather. I'm not going to recommend it that strongly, but I think we'll see, because it's a nice fit and it's a single pass operation replacing that swather, which sometimes tends to be a bit of an issue when we're out swathing a tangled crop and just making piles that don't even want to go through the combine. There's some real advantages to straight cut, so we'll see those acres go up.